Right, it's a beautiful display of the different kind of clothes that we have here, designers that are made in Rwanda, plus the Chagua ones. And that's the focus on the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Debate 4-on-1. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. We're going to be talking about this issue one more time. And of course, the aim is to just get the answers to this question that we've been asking ourselves. And of course, will the ban on Chagua help to develop Rwanda's textile industry? That's the question we've been asking you throughout before we came on air, and that's definitely our point of focus today. There is a plan to kick out Chagua, second-hand clothes, from the country, and of course we want to know from you, what are your thoughts on that? Join us on this conversation at Debate 4-on-1 or at I'm Eugene Anangwe. The hashtag is Debate 4-on-1 or Chagua for who. Let me introduce our panelists on the program, those who believe that this ban is definitely going to help the textile industry. Ladies first, we have Delphine Wamahoro, who's a designer of Made in Rwanda Designs. Delphine Fashion House, thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
And of course, we also have none other than Collins Ronald, who's an entrepreneur who supports the motion for today. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Pleasure to be here.
Right, and of course, on the other hand, we have Bundi Walker, who says, this is not a good idea at all. He will be telling us more on this. He's also an entrepreneur. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
And of course, we have Agrippa Mugabo, who's definitely selling Chagua. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Welcome.
Asante sana for being with us here on the program. Now, we'll also be, in the course of the program, listening in to the Minister of Minicom, who has actually made a statement on this issue, and of course getting to hear from other people who sell this Chagua clothes in the course of the program. So do stay with us. Let me start with those who support this idea of a ban of second-hand clothes. And of course, as we started, ladies first, let's also still hear from you. Why do you feel that it is a good idea to say no to Chagua?
I think it's a very, very good idea to say no to Chagua. Of course, not right now, but I do think small, step by step, we can organize how to ban it as we are creating a market, we are increasing made in Rwanda products, and then that will really increase, reduce the number of people who doesn't have a job, because when you compare people who are selling Chagua and the number of people who will be affected with made in Rwanda, they will be really way a long number, big number than what it is right now.
Right.
And again, it will affect, it will positively affect our economy, because the poverty will totally reduce because of that number. And again, who wants to wear like clothes who are already like
worn by someone
else.
Right. I will stop you there because I want you to say all the points. We still have 55 more minutes to go, so we'd love to hear from you still again on the program. Let me hear from Ronald. Why are you so against second-hand clothes?
Oh, everybody should be, because we all understand some of the things that are concerned with this second-hand clothing. And if I would be honest with you, some of us use second-hand without knowing the negative effects that actually attributed to putting them on. So I'm strongly against the continual importation of second-hand clothing.
But you say effects. Come on, our parents have grown wearing these things and they gave birth to us, and look at us now. And they've never been affected, and you say that there are negative effects. There are those people who argue like that, and they'll tell you, no, you're lying, Rabesha.
Right. I'm just saying that this is a new era. So if your parent or if my parent put on second-hand clothing, I don't think here we come after 50 or 60 years, we need to tell our children that actually it's a good thing for them to put on second-hand clothing. You also know about the issue of health. You understand that some time back, some of the diseases, some of illnesses that will come by, no one will know what they are caused by. And now, because we have advanced technology, we're actually able to determine and be like, okay,
and say it is actually because of the second-hand clothes.
Yeah, that's right.
Let me now hear from the other side of the river, and of course we have Walker here. Walker, you feel like it is not actually a good idea, and of course you feel there's a lot of people that are going to be affected if we say no to second-hand clothes as an economy.
Well, Eugene, the second-hand clothes is it's a multiple dimension phenomenon. And just taking one approach against it or for it is quite being simplistic in that issue. Let me say, actually, in my family, in the position where I come, I've had to wear hand-me-downs, okay? So when you approach now second-hand clothes, so from that perspective, my opponents here will be talking of new clothes against the imported second-hand clothes.
Yes.
So I'm looking at the different phenomena. Economic, what about those people who can't afford? Socially, what about if you are the last born in your family and you have big brothers who have to hand down some clothes for you? So I think this issue, as we discuss it, you'll see why it's actually not logical to just write it out and say no to second hand.
You have actually not told us why it is not logical. I'm still waiting for the answer.
Well, it's not logical because of one. Let's look at that person who is actually earning a living from this. If you say no to this, it does not automatically mean that he will get new stock to sell. So then if we are saying no second hand, for that person who cannot afford new clothes, what are they?
So there are no alternatives. You feel there's still no alternatives?
I still think even if there are alternatives, they are not enough to actually address the issue of outright ban of Chagua.
Right. You talk of those who sell them, and you talk of alternatives, and we have with us here Mr. Agrippa Mugabo. Mugabo, you sell this urazigurisha, Chagua. Zigufasha gute mu buzima bwawe. You can tell us in English ukavangavanga yose nyachibazo.
Well, this is my job in real life. I use it, I wear it, and it's the one I sell. From so far last time, I started this job like 2003.
2003.
Yes, it's my job. So that the thing I want to say, this second hand is not only that they're satisfied in the Rwanda, those people who want to wear them. Yes. And the first thing I want to say is that nice material, quality. Yes. Okay. So the thing I want to say is that that who wants to bring that made in Rwanda, they are able that they will satisfy those people who come from
villages without the money.
Exactly.
Here's a good question actually. He says, you people who are making made in Rwanda clothes, and we have one of them in you here.
Yes.
Are you really able to satisfy that person who comes in that village who doesn't have enough money to be able to buy that? When he has been providing them with an alternative.
Exactly.
What are you going to do in that case? I mean, can you answer that question?
Yeah, of course. In China, many people think that in China they do fake things. That's totally wrong. The first quality of China industries goes to people who can afford.
But he's not talking about China. He's talking about
it's just
in the
an
village here in
example.
Kigali, in Rwanda.
Yeah, in Rwanda, you when it comes to Chagua, there are those ones of 1,000. There are those ones of 10K, 10,000. They differ based upon the quality.
grade and quality.
But again, again, for my materials, my product will again differ based upon the quality.
So what you're saying, you have quality and value for that person in the village?
Yes.
What's the lowest price?
Lowest price, you can get it at 2,000.
2,000.
Which we always get with the second hand.
Yeah.
And the question I have is this.
Yes.
When you say made in Rwanda, how is it become China?
That was an example. Let me explain. That was an example. In Rwanda, we have different materials to make our product made in Rwanda. It means based upon your economic level, you can find something to suit you. And again,
are you able to produce each and everything from here in the country? Are you able?
Yeah.
And then the thing I want to say, are you able that those people who came from a village,
Yes.
are you able that they will see, they will get that 2,000
Yeah.
for buying something like made in Rwanda?
Yeah. Before she answers that,
second hand,
yes,
because
yes,
second hand,
yes.
those people they can just buy like a skirt for 2,000.
Yeah.
I mean 200 or 500.
Yeah. So what,
Yes.
what he says is your least, the lowest value or cost for your lowest item is actually 2,000. And for him, he says with that, someone can buy Chagua 10 pieces.
Yeah.
This is actually what he's trying to say. And so the cost issue is actually playing in here.
If I may come in, Mr. Eugene.
Yeah.
I just
Still remaining with this question. It's a
same,
very
same
relevant
question.
Yes.
He's talking about the cost.
Yes.
So my colleague is talking about the affordability. If she's able to produce something at 2,000 francs,
Yeah.
let's look at the value. Let's not look at the cost only. What's the value of that thing that is going to provide?
But his
Textile.
clients don't really look at the value. They look at, is it able to fit me? And actually he says the value of this second hand is actually so good that the quality, it lasts even
Yes.
longer.
My
This is
dear
the argument.
Eugene,
Yes.
this is a new era. We need to take decision
Yeah.
looking on the long term.
Yeah.
Take long-term decision. Mr. President is always talking about agachiro. How are we going to define that? As a designer, I can't take something, I can't produce something to wear for 2 months just because it's 200.
No, listen,
I have to think even further,
Beyond.
not beyond. Because if I just buy second hand and after 2 months it's torn,
Exactly.
I need to buy another one. I need to buy another one with a new fabric. You
It
can
will
wear
last
it
longer.
for
How many
longer.
industries we have in this country for producing those those made in Rwanda?
Yeah.
How many industries have you built?
Yeah, he's coming in with actually a very interesting point, which many people have actually been arguing and saying,
Yes.
are we really ready? Are we really able to supply this need? If we say, okay, now let's cut the supply of these second-hand clothes and now, you know, focus on our textile industries, do we have enough to really feed this market? And that's the concern that I think he has together with his clients.
Thank you very much. That's a good concern. Every country that is into development, that's a question that someone has to pose. But my question is, do we really need change? Because change always has a cost. So if we need change, and there is a cost that needs to be paid, we should be willing. We should be willing to give it everything.
Who pays this cost? Who pays for it?
The citizen. The citizen pays for the cost. I mean, let me just give you a small example, a short example. You see, this country is going through economical transformation from ground zero. For in any sector that we talk about, talk about construction, talk about education, talk about health, and here we come also in the textile industry that needs to be changed. Yes, it will be hard at the beginning. Yes, it will cause some people, and this is normal. We've seen with economic transformation. There's always, we have conservative people. We have people who are willing to adopt to the change.
Right. So Walker, are you guys ready to actually pay for this change? He says the citizens will have to pay for
Actually, I have a problem in
Yeah.
that you're saying that the citizen is the one who will pay for this change. Because even though change is good,
And it's inevitable as well.
and it's inevitable, I think the approach towards that change matters. Because you're looking at someone who is struggling to think, what am I going to eat today? So once the basic need of am I clothed is met, then this person is thinking, have I eaten? So if you're saying, I go for your option of 2,000,
Yes.
Which is the least.
which is the least, and yet I have, with this 2,000, I can buy something that I wear for the same 2 months and at least get something else to eat. You see, we are looking
Exactly.
at that level whereby, can this citizen you're saying to bear this cost, can they handle it? So at the end of the day, unless you have a way of lowering that cost to the level that this person will be able to meet it comfortably, then still I'm not saying why you should do away with this.
Mr. Agrippa, I'll just have to ask him one thing. He's talking about the cost, but and how it's going to affect the normal
citizen.
the normal citizen.
Yes.
But my concern is to ask you, we don't want to say that it's not going to affect the citizen, but we're not imposing the ban of second-hand clothing does not come overnight. So there's a lot of effort that has to be put into it.
Yes.
There's a lot of campaigns that have to be done so that the people actually get to know that we're turning from second-hand clothing to actually buying new things or using made in Rwanda clothes. And they have to adapt to that. We're not changing the system, and the country is not changing the system of this. If I remember correctly, this is a proposal that was brought up within the East African community, and it has been ongoing for a long time. So people really need to be educated on the importance of actually shifting from the second-hand clothing.
But there's a period that has been attached to it, and that period is actually not more than 3 years, actually. After that, this has to have been.
And it's a good
phased out.
period for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So within 3 months, the question he asked of the industries, do you believe we will have already set up enough industries to produce, in our textile industry, to feed this market that he has been feeding? Do you think we'll have really made it already for that in 3 years?
In 3 years, based upon how much energy we are going to put into that, we can do that.
Yeah. So personally, in your designs, in your house, in your fashion house, in 3 years, do you think you'll be already meeting this demand? And of course, cost-wise, because he says, unless you lower that cost, then you will not be able to meet this demand, because these people will be left hanging somewhere.
We all know how business work. If I'm the only one owning a boutique, I can price it higher. But if there are even many more doing the same thing, the price will go down. That's the fact. So the more we promote made in Rwanda, the lower the price will
be.
go.
I think
Do you agree with that? Because
I think 3 years is.
the question
is
is this, actually, from what she says, and then you'll add onto that on the issue of the years. She actually says the markets will take care of itself. When we'll have the made in Rwanda industries or textile industries doing their thing, then there will be competition, and with this competition, the prices will definitely find themselves going down. Do you think this is what it will happen?
Before I go on, before you talk about the cost, I ask the question: are you able to produce that quality of those made in Rwanda? Are you able to produce good quality?
He has problems with the quality.
That's the first thing. Then the second, there is a thing you have said is that agaciro. Before we talk about that one, I'm not fighting against agaciro.
Yes.
But the thing I want to say is this. This is second hand. First, they pay the tax. We pay.
Yeah.
And we are able to produce those, we are able to satisfy those people who came from
Lower class.
lowest.
Yes, who can't afford.
Exactly. And we are able to satisfy those who are high class. Because as I told you, I started this business like
2003.
Yeah. And I have so many clients. Those are cheap, those are class. I have them. And all of them, I understand their questions, their problems after stopping this Chagua. Then the second question I have is that why don't you stop that banning Chagua, and you let that Chagua, it goes on, and you bring your...
So that there's competition between Chagua and the made in Rwanda.
Yes.
I love that. I love that.
Would you accept that? Would you think of that as a better option?
Yeah, I think so, because we are not going to shift in one night.
Exactly.
We are not
but what
going
he says,
to
he doesn't want to shift at all. You're saying we won't shift in one night. We'll
He's
shift.
saying that let's compete.
Yes.
I do love that. And look at the important, like the big part, like who will win? Is it Chagua or made in
That's
Rwanda?
the competition you want.
Yes, then we will weigh the benefits of having Chagua and having made in Rwanda in different angles. Economically, psychologically, physiologically, wherever it will be. But when we say agaciro, me as a designer now, what I understand, quality, we have been talking about the quality.
Yes.
Definitely, we will make sure the quality of made in Rwanda will be there. Because if we want to promote something made in Rwanda, What if they decide to stop even that Chagua? We want to ban it today in 3 years. What if they stop
What
even
do you
supplying
call-
supplying
what are
us?
you- what-
That is. It might be a true assumption or false assumption, but we should think about it. Tugomba kwigira. We should promote, strengthen our ability.
Yeah.
We should strengthen what we can do.
Yeah.
And then there we won't have any problem. We will put a design we want, because in Chagua there is a big pool. I will just pick a clothes from that pool of a design. But with made in Rwanda, I will have the quality, I will have a design I want.
But his argument
me-
is...
let me-
wait,
Yeah,
but
but
his
I'm
argument-
going to reach there.
Yes.
I'm going to reach there.
Are you able to produce each and everything?
For
That's
every-
what we call
Custom
made in. Made
Yeah.
in. What is
Yeah,
made
yeah,
in?
but actually,
You are saying 100%
Yes.
made
Made
in
in
Rwanda.
Rwanda.
Yeah.
As you want to shift slow by slow,
Yes.
that's how it made in Rwanda will get promoted. If you don't support it right now,
You will
it
not
will
make it.
never
But the
be
argument they're
promoted.
making is the argument they're making is that at whose expense
Let me
do
just-
you want this to actually be achieved? And it actually looks like it's at the expense of the people who want to buy Chagua, the consumers, that you want to uplift your industry.
No.
This is actually the argument.
That's a wrong point of view. My point of view is that what Mr. Mugabe is talking about is not right. He's talking about the materials or these clothing that we buy from abroad. He's talking about the cost.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's talking about the tax that is being paid.
Yeah.
But he's not talking about the money, billions of Rwandan francs or billions of dollars that is put into second-hand clothing every year.
Importation.
Importation of these clothes. And we are saying, let us build these local industries. Let us use the same money to build the local
You
industries.
mean those made in Rwanda? Nothing we will buy out.
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Honestly, it's a very good question.
Let me show you
Yes.
this jacket.
This is made in Rwanda.
No,
This is
second hand.
Chagua.
Second
Yes,
hand.
yes,
Second hand.
Yeah.
yes,
You see quality, design.
Yes.
You are designer.
Yes.
Yes.
You see, nice color.
yes.
And
Yes.
design, even in quality.
Yes.
This is what you want as seller.
Yes.
This is what you want as
Yes.
As a consumer.
exactly.
Yes.
So, are you able to produce like this one?
Exactly. That's why I want to shift.
I think we
It
need.
has 10 buttons. Maybe I don't want those 10 buttons.
can pick what you
You
want.
will
This is the
even
argument.
never change.
Yes.
And that poll, you might not get what I want. But when it comes to the quality to buy everything, for now I might not get everything in Rwanda.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about reaching to the big number, longer time, not short time. Because with this is Ubudodo style.
Yeah, that's your design.
There is Ubudodo everywhere in this country. Women who made there are from the village. How many of them? How many did they produce? How much? How big their family were
So you see,
were
saying you're
affected
creating
positively?
employment for
Yes,
these women.
employment.
But the argument he's asking
the
is
product.
because you had a problem with the importation.
Yes, yes.
And the
Yes.
money is used to import. But he asked a very direct question.
I think-
Do
Yes.
you mean that
Everything-
these are actually made in Rwanda? This material that was used to make this? He still has an argument that there will still be importation anyway.
Yes, I would take that. But let's first define this. When we're talking about second-hand clothing, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Are we talking about everything that we're buying from abroad to this country? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about things that has already been used. We all know how these charitable organizations,
Yes.
organizations like UNICEF, organizations like World Vision, they collect these clothes from the citizens of these Western countries, and they bring them mostly to African countries, and checking from 1991 to 2004, you see that many countries that have been receiving most of this second-hand clothing is Eastern Asia, and 25% of all those importations are in Sub-Saharan Africa, where Rwanda is also a member. So if we're talking about second-hand clothing here, we're not talking about everything that we're buying from abroad, but we're talking about things that have actually been used
Before.
and
That's where your problem is. You really have a problem.
secondly,
with that.
and secondly, what he's talking about that the material that are making the made in Rwanda products, if they are all from here.
Yeah.
My take is that even though we don't have 100% of the raw material to make the product, it does not remove us from the point that we own it. So we can still outsource. We
But
can
still
still
own it.
outsource raw materials, but still own it.
Yeah. All right. Let me bring in our viewers before we take a very short break right here, because they have been tweeting and the tweets have been coming in thick and fast. I have a very nice one here from Mbishi at Mbishi 8, and Mbishi says, we appreciate what the government is doing, but I think it is doing it so fast. It should first work on the made in Rwanda clothes. This is what he actually says, that we should not actually be even talking about the ban. Let's first of all invest in empowering or strengthening the made in Rwanda industry. I don't know how you will react to that. Would you rather say we need to still compete on the same level, made in Rwanda and the Chagua? Let us all be in the same market and let people decide.
First, the first thing I want to say is this. For example, you see that one?
Yes,
That
yes,
one,
yes.
She called it Ubudodo.
Ubudodo, yeah.
Ubudodo.
Yes.
You know the time I started to see that Ubudodo from my childhood.
Thank you so much.
But before,
Thank you.
Listen, the thing I want to say is that no factory in this country I saw that
Is able to do that.
no.
Reason why we need to shift.
You need to shift.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I want to ask this question.
Yeah.
Why don't you rate that stop that abusing that second hand, and let second hand goes on, let that made in Rwanda goes on, then we compete, and then everything is started slow by slow.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I agree with that one.
Yeah.
But let's Sagua goes on, let's made in Rwanda goes
Go
on.
on.
But yes.
And we compete.
And we compete.
All right.
Maybe
Yes.
but as investors,
That's not right.
Yeah.
as investors, then we need that those investors they come and teach the Rwandans what can we do for stopping this second hand, and what can we do to starting this made in Rwanda.
Right. A very valid point there, but of course he says doesn't agree on that. But before you come in to say why you don't agree, let me also bring in another viewer here at Kaliganire, who says why people who don't use second hand are more concerned when those who use it are not. Something is wrong on this matter. Because they might feel like, why do you want to decide for us? You talked of issues of diseases, you talked of issues of agachiro, but they've never complained. They've never felt like it is wrong. They're happy with that. So they feel like you want to decide for that. This is an argument that people have out there.
I don't know what kind of statistics that he's using, or what kind of parameters he's using by saying that people, why do we decide for them? We're not deciding for anybody here. We are just trying to implement actually what people want. I don't think the government is doing something that the entire population does not want. So the government is there to see what is best for its citizens, and if they have seen that this is actually a need, why not talk about it?
Right.
We're just talking about it.
You're just talking about it.
Yeah.
Talking of talking about it, let's listen into what the Minister of Minicom actually said on this particular issue, because he has been vocal on this, and the Ministry has actually been very instrumental in pushing for a campaign to support made in Rwanda products. Let's listen in to what he had to say. It's actually in Kinyarwanda, so if you have a Rwandese speaking friend out there, call them out to come and help you out in understanding this particular clip. I understood it, so I believe you can also understand it. Listen in.
Abayobozi b'ibihugu byacu bamaze gufata icyemezo cyuko mu ngamba z'igihe kirekire zo kwihesha agaciro, ariko cyane cyane no kureba ahantu mu bukungu bwacu twatakazaga ibintu by'ingenzi byagombye kubishingiro yo guhanga imirimo yo kugira ngo turwanye ubushomeri, twahibanda. Byaje kugaragara yuko gukomeza gutumiza imyenda yambawe hanze rwose ni ikibazo mbere na mbere gishingiye ku mpamvu z'uko bene iyo myenda nta gihugu na kimwe gishobora guteza imbere urwego rwo kudoda imyenda gikomeza gutumiza bene iyo myenda hanze, kuko ntibishoboka. Icya mbere icyo ngicyo kigomba kumvikana gutya, abanyarwanda bakumva inyungu zabyo muri urwo rwego kugira ngo dushobore guhanga imirimo ishingiye muri urwo gukora imyenda abanyarwanda bakeneye, aho kugira ngo dukore imyenda yamawe ngo no kugura makeya. Icya kabiri harimo n'ikibazo cyo kwihesha agaciro. Byo nabyo abanyarwanda bagomba kubyumva. Iriya myenda buriya kenshi nubwo tuyambara ntabwo tuzi abantu baba barayambaye mbere ni bantu ki. ushobora gusangamo abantu b'abarwayi banyuranye, indwara zinyuranye, nubwo iza bivuga ngo yasukuba ariko buriya hari mikorobe zidashira. Dushobora kuba tufite muri iyo myenda abanyarwanda bashobora banasobanurira ubwabo uko ubushobozi bw'abanyarwanda bugenda bwiyongera. Ndumva mu ngamba zo kugenda turushaho kwihesha agaciro, kugenda dutandukana n'ibyo ngibyo, byagombye kumvikana yuko ni kimwe mu buryo bwo kwihesha agaciro no guteza ubukungu bwacu imbere.
Right. That is Francois Kanimba himself actually talking about this issue of the ban of Chagua and why he believes it's a good idea. And he mentions the issue of agachiro. He says, why would you wear something that someone else has worn before?
Exactly.
But he also brings in an issue of, you know, you never know, diseases, blah, 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 that someone might have, you know, been infected or contaminated, and you do not know about that. On the other hand, we have a viewer who says that can someone, and puts in bracket Minisante, tell us how many people are contaminated by second-hand clothes a year? This argument can't be solid enough. This is the argument that people have.
Yes.
They say we are making assumptions. People actually wash those clothes before they wear them. And so where do we come up with this idea of you'll get sick when you wear this, before we get into the agachiro and also hear their thoughts on this?
Mr. Eugene, if you heard what the minister himself just said,
Yeah.
he said, even though these clothes are actually, they claim that they are clean before they're imported into African countries or other third world nations, we're not 100% sure that actually they are free of any disease. And another thing that he said...
But where's the statistics? This is what this viewer was asking. Where's the statistics?
Me and you tonight, Mr. Eugene, we believe that for this table to be, for this issue to be on the table and to be talked about with the governments or the East African governments, there has been issues, and there are. I'm 100% sure that there are reasons why they came up with a conclusion that actually a ban for second-hand clothing needs to be done. And I think he talked about that there is no country that can develop its industries, textile industries,
without making such a decision.
Without making such a decision.
Right. Let me hear your thoughts, views, Zawi, on what the minister was saying. Wanguchi.
Nothing I can say. Just say, all of them, he's the way, but the thing I can ask myself, how many people they have so that they are there and on the hospital for
being sick
because of this
wearing
Chagua.
Chagua.
How number of people they have so. That's fun. The day too, maybe it can cause those diseases, maybe, but I'm not
very
sure.
That. From 2003, he says he's never had any of his clients coming and saying, I've been sick out of this. Walker, you want to give a quick comment before we take a break?
Well, for me, I'm talking about choice, because as the consumer, you mentioned something that you said that you'd be able to make a design that is unique, because in Chagua, you just pick different clothes.
Yes.
But one thing you don't factor in is that for you, you're talking of a small number of people, because customizing clothes for each and everyone is very hard.
Yes,
Which
sure.
means if you have to produce clothes for the 12 million Rwandans, you have to actually have a system that actually does this. So I don't think there's investment enough to make sure that those factories that can make 100, let's say 50,000 units of this, they're not there.
So there will still be need for another option.
Exactly.
Or alternative.
agree.
And my belief is, if we are doing away with the Chagua in the given period of 3 years, I don't think the biggest beneficiary will be the Made in Rwanda brand. I think the biggest beneficiary will be cheap imports from China, other than the Made in Rwanda. So I think if the argument is for promoting local textile industries, there's more that needs to be done other than just banning the Chagua.
May I put one comment? One comment.
Okay, just one. One.
Oh my God. Now I'm even more confused because why would you even promote China and yet you are Rwandan? Why can't you put that promotion wherever it is you will deal with China in Rwanda? And about having different designs to satisfy billions. By the way, we are designers. That's why we have to increase the number of designers.
And that's what he
those
says,
ones.
they're not yet ready there.
Yes,
They're not yet
that's
there.
what we have to do.
Yeah.
Because as we are not banning them today and say like, okay, made in Rwanda people produce billion products. No, we are not going to do that. Let's think, let's work, let's strengthen, let's encourage the upcoming designers. Let's even invest in those factories. Now we have only a textile.
Yeah.
If we can build one building in 3 months, why not can't we focus on that?
But the argument is actually that you guys just focus on those with the money. Even when pricing your items, your
Yes.
focus is not the lower end market. And so when will you change that attitude? Will
That's what I said before.
Will they really feel safe in your hands?
I think what Mr. Grip is talking about, he knows that that's not right.
Yeah.
What the government is what the government is doing is not to push out the small income earners. No. That's not what they're doing. But it's to give them an alternative to use things that are actually made in Rwanda. I don't think if you're telling me there's something that is bought in France or Netherlands, it's going to be much cheaper than something that is made from Rwanda, because a lot of costs that are going to be involved with actually getting it here, starting from buying, the tax and transportation and everything. And now that we have some industries that are actually doing this, she talked about Textile and some other local companies that are producing clothing. We want to strengthen them. We want to give them opportunity to showcase what they have.
Right. So strengthening them and giving them opportunity. Walker, hold that thought. I have to go for a break because I'm being told we have to really take a breather, of course, warm up a bit. And when we come back, we move the conversation forward, ask ourselves even tougher questions, and of course, get also listen to what some sellers of the Chagua have also been saying off the streets. Of course, it is Debate 411. Keep talking to us. Tweet us at Debate 411. I'm seeing your tweets coming through. I see you at Sami JR2, Gatete Gilbert, Rukera. When I return, I'll definitely be able to read some of your comments. Keep them coming at Debate 411. Hashtag is Debate 411 or Chagua for who. And today, we have a line drawn right here on the floor. We have the Made in Rwanda and we have Chagua. And of course, we are asking ourselves those questions of whether the ban of the second-hand clothes is going to help develop the textile industry in Rwanda. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
Good morning, class. Mmeza mute? Okay.
Look, you know, in my previous school, what do you want with my girlfriend?
Alex. Alex, don't
Stay
be
out of
stupid.
this.
Alex, don't be stupid. Nashaka ibyikaye hasi.
Yeah, bro. Urumogi.
Bibero directrice. Directrice mu biro.
Zanabyiri cyana cy'igicucu gusa.
nyagasani mpamvu ndakwinginze umbabarire rwose ndashaka ko dusohokana akugurira ikivuguto
Yewe, nyina kwemera ko tugenda kugura ikivuguto. Uri bwiyahure.
mudadaki aranyanga nashaka ntumbikirize ariko mbikira isosi
tugende. Mumunzanire akabatikani mumunzanire nonaha. Bekinda gukunda bekimitaye
Akunda kubwira ikintu ntabwo mbizi. Ntabwo nshaka. Beki ndagukunda nzakujyana hanze bagurira ikivuguto ya injyana y'umujinya.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for still being with us. You're definitely looking at the display of the clothes. On one end, we have the made in Rwanda. On the other end, we have the second-hand clothes. That is Chagua for most of us. That is how we understand them. This is actually the Chagua side, and this is the made in Rwanda side. And of course, the question I would like to ask very quickly is actually, how much would this go for?
This sells, as I said, 2,000.
2,000. And give me one of them. Just give me one of them.
And like this?
Yes, like this one.
Yes.
This one would go for how much? This is Chagua. How much is this? Amafaranga angahe?
That one?
Yes.
Say 12.
12,000.
Yes.
12,000. So, and this one is 2,000. That is the most expensive. Do you have any here that is more around 12,000? We can do a comparison.
Yes.
Which one?
Like the coat?
The coat?
Is-
Just give it us. Don't be
yeah.
afraid to lift it up.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of it.
So
I
this
should
coat
even
could
wear
go for
it.
how much?
This coat could go for 40K.
40,000 Rwanda
Yes.
francs. And for 40,000 Rwanda francs, can I get a coat like this as Chagua?
Depends.
Yeah.
Depends on market.
On the market.
Yes.
So what would be if you had something like this? What I'm trying to look at here is now the comparison of the prices, because that is where most people are actually basing their arguments.
But that
on.
one may be for men.
Yeah, this
Yes,
is for
it's
men.
for men.
Right?
Yes,
This one is for women.
this is for women.
The price cannot be the same.
It can never be the same.
No.
Yes.
Right. So let's talk a bit about the issue of the preparation, because of course we have all argued and said, we can start now. Even if we're not ready, this is the right time to start. And they say, we are actually rushing things. But let's try to put things into perspective and try to really understand the dynamics here. Because those who argue and say that we are actually rushing this, why would you think that they are misplaced? Their thoughts are actually misplaced. Why would you think so?
Thank you very much. First of all, I don't agree with them. This is not a rash decision because a lot of time is going to be put into it. A lot of time, again, has been put into it, but there's also an extension of 3 years, which is a good time. My point is that what I want to show Mr. Agrippa and Mugabo, we've been having these industries in Rwanda. Textile is not new. It was not opened in 2014. This is actually one of the industries that we have here that have been living here for some good years. If I'm not wrong, it's been here from the 80s. What we're saying at the moment is to boost them, to give them capacity to produce even to the greater heights as they have been doing. You see, they've been challenged because there's this importation of the second-hand clothing.
So it has been affecting their
it's
business.
been affecting them, and we are saying let's give them a hand. Let the government give them a hand by stopping the importation of second-hand clothing, and the citizen will have the alternative of actually using the products that have been produced here.
Yeah. Do you think there would be an alternative in this case? He says the citizens will have an alternative to buy what is produced here. Are we lacking that alternative today? Will it be even there when we ban the chagua?
When making a decision to purchase something, for instance, you have designer clothes. When making a choice to buy that cloth, it's because it has been marketed to you. It feels certain psychological feelings that you want to satisfy. So when you're saying that we have the made in Rwanda, how good are we promoting these designs or these productions to make sure that as a person when I'm wearing that cloth, I feel like, okay, this is what I want to represent. Because the other reason why people go for chagua is because this brand has been marketed, okay? So you can't rule out the decision-making process of the consumer. So that's what I'm saying. The option of chagua comes with a lot of things. So how good are you as made in Rwanda or made in East Africa marketing this thing to people so that people feel like, okay, I can consume this brand and at what cost? Then the other issue is you're talking of factories that exist. And they are more than just the ones you mentioned. And you have a lot of factories actually in East Africa that are producing clothes for the European market. So why are they not able
exactly
to meet this?
That's what we want to do as well.
So if the government is the one that is pushing to promote the made in Rwanda, why can't they take the same steps of subsidizing taxes like they are doing for those, like in Kenya you have the EPZ. So why not take the same measures of lowering taxes for production for the local market, and then let them compete with the chagua and receive if it will.
So the bottom line here, what he's trying to say is, let there be competition. And this is actually even what he had argued out earlier on and said, why can't we then just have both on the same platform and let's just compete. Let people have a choice of deciding and saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to go for this, and let the other one who wants to go for the made in Rwanda or the locally made ones go for that. What would be wrong with that?
And the decision is not ruled out. What we're talking about here is about second-hand clothes. We're not stopping someone in the US or in Nairobi or in South Africa who is making fresh products. I say if someone has a brand like Tom Hill or Gucci, we're not stopping them from bringing those products to Rwanda or to the East African community.
Yes, of course. But of course, the issue here is why not just let people who want the second hand also just go for what they want? Other than just banning it completely, why can't they compete with the new
I have
ones,
one question.
the designer ones, and let people decide?
I have one question.
And we've laid down some of the reasons we think that we shouldn't allow that. First of all, we've talked about this before. First of all, we want to develop the local industries. That's something important for the economy of the country. You cannot see one of the economic sector of your country shrinking, and you just keep quiet because you don't want to tackle it. That doesn't make any sense.
You wanted to ask me a question?
Why should we go for a second option? Why can't we choose the first, offer ourselves the best, work together best? Why do we want to keep being the second everywhere, second hand? People who can afford, as we know, can go for Gucci, as he said. They can go for, like, for example, for the shoes, Zara. But why should I wait for someone in America to wear it till it is old, then
and then send it to us?
Send it to me. If I want, this affects many different domains. Psychologically, if I'm for example in New York and I'm wearing made in Rwanda, someone say I'm smart, this is made in Rwanda. and I'm promoting my country. I'm promoting what we are able to do.
So country comes first.
Yeah, country comes first.
Country comes first. This is what they say. But before you come in, let's also listen in a bit to what some of those who actually been selling the second-hand clothes on the streets of Kigali and some of them in these markets that we have to say about this. We had some conversations out there, and this is what they had to say. Let's listen in.
Nacaga ubundi waramutse bayiciye abantu benshi twamererwa nabi kubera ko itunze abantu benshi cyane. Abayambara caguwa irakomera. Iriya ni ukuvuga ngo baramutse bavuze ngo tujye twamara mangaze iroroha cyane. Caguwa irakomera, ushobora umwenda wa caguwa ukamara igihe kirekire kuruta uko wakwambara mangaze. Kandi noneho n'umwenda wa caguwa yuje nyine n'uwuguze nawe urumva ko nawe ntiyawambara nawe utameshe. Iyo ugeze mu rugo urawumesa ukambara warawumeshe.
Ariko twe tubona ntacyo bidutwaye. Gusa njyewe ncuruza mvanze mangazi na caguwa. Bigurwa cyane ni caguwa. Caguwa ziba zifite uburambe nubwo iba yarakoze ariko ibikomeye kurenza mangazi. Icyo mbona cyakorwaho kugira ngo bazice ni ukuvuga ngo kuko zikunzwe zidufitiye n'umumaro mwinshi twareka tukagumya tukazicuruza. Ntago nzi bagiye kuzica icyo bagendeyeho ariko njye numva zagumya zigacuruzwa.
Right. Very interesting right there. And of course, a very key point that comes out there. They say, like the one who spoke last, says, I sell both of them. I sell mangaze and I also sell chagua. But on all these ones, most people who come to buy are the ones who are buying chagua. And so how are we going to deal with this mindset? How are we going to deal with this gap that we're going to leave the moment we say no to chagua? What would be the right strategy here? Because let's look now the way forward. How do we deal with this?
I'll try to answer that by taking a practical example that we've had here in Rwanda. In 2004, if I'm right, the government introduced the policy of banning polythene bags.
Yes.
That thing was not welcomed by the local citizen. And the government had to put in a lot of effort. There was a lot of campaigns put behind that. There's a lot of law enforcement that was put behind that. And finally, here we are in 2016. Have you ever seen any polythene bag out there in any vending shop or in any supermarket? Not one. This shows us, with the determination of the people and a lot of effort that has to be put in, people as well have to understand this, that second-hand clothing is not the best option for them, that they are not second-hand themselves, that they are worthy owning.
So you feel the mindset will just change with
it will change with time.
Yeah, in addition to that, every society, wherever it will go, to adopt change, it's very hard, as he somehow talked about it. There are those who are innovators, who will come with idea. And most of the time, they are 3%. That's what science shows. 3%. There are those ones who are early adopters, visionaries, who will understand that change and understand how important that change will be. Then there are those ones are 13%. There are 40% of people who will pragmatism. They will understand the change, try to work, to adapt, and really put a lot of effort. That's when the campaign comes in. That's how strengthening designers, that's how even strengthening Rwanda or East African industry domain comes in. Then there are this, again, big number, around 20-something, of conservatives who will just stick to the tradition because they are afraid to try new things.
Even though they're not providing any reasons.
Yeah, they will just think like, I live because of these things, which we do understand, But they will just keep sticking to the tradition. And there is a number of 3% who will just skepticals, who will just reject without even providing any reason. They're like, oh, no, don't even talk about it.
Where do you think these ones lie? Where do they lie? Which percentage?
That's so hard. But I do understand. I think they are conservatives.
Don't be diplomatic, come on. Don't be diplomatic. Walker, how do we change this mindset? I mean, do you think it's going to work? Because he mentioned the plastic bags, the plans to ban them. There were people who resisted, but look, today, Rwanda being mentioned, one of the cleanest cities. Same with Chagua. There are those who will be resisting right now, but with time they will come to understand. Do you see it in that light?
Well, in future, it's possible. But it comes at a cost. Okay? You mentioned the plastic bags. But, well, there are the advantages. And what the government looks at is, does the advantage outweigh the disadvantage?
Exactly.
All right? So with the plastic bags, that was an outright move. The advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So in this case, what steps are being taken to make sure that the advantages of having new clothes or made in Rwanda is bigger than the Chagua? Because you're looking at the population, okay? When you look at that number of people who have, it's either they wear the Chagua for 200 or they go naked, because you are talking of 2,000, which will be maybe above what they can afford. And the other issue, even when you talk of quality, you are talking of, do we have enough designs in the Made in Rwanda to cater for the different needs? Because you need some of the needs. It's not only people who are in the office who need these clothes. You have other people who are maybe working out, doing casual jobs, people who are doing sports, people who are doing whatever. Do you have enough or those different range of products to serve those different needs? Because I'm not looking at myself going out to do sports
in a designer.
In most of what is available right now in the market.
So the answers to all the questions you've asked is actually no.
Exactly. Right now, most of it is
no, and 50-50.
Exactly, and some 50-50. But
before I say something, have you understand that people say warranty of that second hand? Warranty. How long this second hand will be taken before after buying?
Before buying another one.
Before buying another one. And how long will that say first hand will take after buying?
This is what that person was actually saying, that they last longer.
That's our issues as a sellers. That's our first issues. The second is that maybe government will do exactly because they proposed and they make that decision. Government maybe they will do, but before they make it as in the action, they first sit and see how many in the citizen, how many number of people they want this one, they want this one, and then they do for the people, for the citizen, not for the sellers. They do
for the sake of the citizens.
Yes.
Right. As we wrap up, there's a very quick tweet that has come through from @Ligamar, who says, "Do people realize that their personal choices can't be forced on everyone? Can people just choose for themselves?" This has been coming on and on and on and on, with many people saying, actually, let us just decide for ourselves. There's another one here, I'd seen it earlier on. There's one actually who says, made in Rwanda today is actually made in Vitenge.
I'm wearing one.
The argument there is actually that we say made in Rwanda, but 90% is imported.
Yes.
Could you justify that? Why do we call it then made in Rwanda? When we have imported the material, we have, worked on, we're saying, let us be assisted.
It's a real question.
Yeah.
Why do you call it made in Rwanda? In case you imported that.
He has been asking that question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what we were talking. First, to start, don't say made in Rwanda, it's made in Vitenge. Vitenge, it's one option of making things. Now Vitenge is like Beyonce, go to red carpet wearing Vitenge. Yeah, even people from America who are worthy, they choose Vitenge. it's a choice
So why do we
you
call it
make.
made in Rwanda?
Made in Rwanda, it's that like they call bitenge as African print because it is made in Africa. But made in Rwanda, you can even, that suit, there is a small bitenge. So if we go as designers to Textile, we order a material we want. It can't be even gitenge. It can be a quality material we want. Then we can use that one, and it is 100% made in Rwanda.
That's why it's
And one
called
more
made in
thing.
Rwanda.
Yes.
He's
The
still
thing I
not
want to ask is
satisfied.
this
Yes.
one.
Yes.
It takes produce the clothes or they color them?
They produce
No.
clothes. Yes.
Yeah, they do produce them.
Yes.
One more thing, I just want to clarify on you talk about what do we mean when we talk about
Made in Rwanda, yet
What do we mean?
imported
See,
90% of the
making
material.
a product,
Yeah.
making a product doesn't only has to do with where you're getting the raw material. It also has everything to do with the skills that are behind making that product that is going to come out. So if we're saying that this is made in Rwanda, yes, we could be importing some of the raw materials that we need to make them. But what are the skills being used here? Are they skills for the Chinese market, or they are for the local designers and local producers? I think the made in Rwanda essence comes in
the skills.
Yeah, from the skills as
the
well.
brains.
And there are some raw materials that we
One
have.
point,
Right.
please. For example, a phone.
Yeah.
They are taking coltan from Rwanda to bring it to China to
And it's
make
made in
a
China.
phone, and it's made in China or made in USA. We will never put like
don't
it is
own
made in Rwanda, and yet they got coltan to go and make this phone.
It
So-
was very important. It wasn't me asking, actually.
Yeah,
Let me just
I'm
explain.
giving
It was
example.
very important to tackle this issue. A very quick one. I have to read this one, otherwise I'll be locked out of the house today. From Maggie Divaho, and she actually says that the Rwanda textile industry lacks style. Maybe if the industry is bringing in good cloth designs, then they will definitely go for it.
Yes.
Another one here says banning won't help. People will go for the Chinese clothes still than the Rwanda textile industry. Are you ready for this competition? In case people say, warahenze, and then a Chinese guy brings in new but very affordable kind of clothes. Are you ready to tackle that?
Delphine Fashion House and the other designers from Rwanda, we are so ready. We are into this.
Yeah.
We want to put what we can to push the boundaries of the fashion industry in Rwanda.
Yeah.
That's why we are there, yes. We are trying our best to do so.
Right. Thank you.
Anangwe, you see?
Yes, as a last point.
As my last point.
Yeah.
Delphina, I'm not with you.
Yes,
Sorry for
it's
that.
okay.
You see me from down
Yeah.
to this t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wear that second
It's
hand.
second hand. From
Yes.
from the shoe,
Down to
the trouser, to the
and
t-shirt.
I work on the wide market.
Yes.
Some of them they have that is first hand, another one, but number of people we sell second hand.
Yes.
I can't use that first hand in case I see nice trouser, like nice trouser, nice t-shirt, like nice shirt of second hand.
Yes.
No,
But let me ask you very quickly before you finish that point.
Yes.
They have said Agachiro. How do you feel wearing something? that
Agachiro,
someone
I
else
support
wore?
it. I support it.
How do you feel? Do you ever ask yourself that question? Is that a real
I
point
support
for those
it
who
and
people
I
argue?
understand Agachiro, what does it mean, and
Yeah.
I support it very well.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we are not able to produce that one.
Why do you
We
think
are
so?
not, no, we are not enough.
Yeah.
And
For
Mr.
that.
Mr. Nangwe,
We're actually running out of
yeah,
time.
before
Literally, yes.
I just want to talk to my colleague.
Yeah.
If you're saying that you don't want to adapt the change, that's something bad.
That I want
what
that
these
changes.
campaigns are all
I
about.
want that change.
He wants the change.
Yes.
But I want it.
What the campaign is all about is actually to change your mindset. Why do you have to put on second hand?
First,
Let me ask you.
I know
Let me
my
ask you.
country. I know my country.
Oh,
And
we are not
wait,
that low.
I know my country as I can know my home.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he knows
I know
that-
what I can do.
Yeah,
I
and
know
what
what
you
I can't.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
country it is not able to produce those.
And your culture will not stay there.
Exactly. Wait a moment.
growing.
The thing I want to say
Understand.
is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The country it's not enough for those raw materials
Not yet.
to produce that made in Rwanda.
Yeah.
The thing I want to say is that those that in Rwanda, made in Rwanda, they will first bring but they will import those materials. and they will produce it, finish it in Kigali or in the Harukad. I don't know exactly the place. But what you say, that when we say made in Rwanda, we say each and everything. We produce it in the country.
That's what he wants. That's what makes him understand made in Rwanda. But he says it, and he says it in his own words. I know my country. I know here we can do it. I know here we cannot do it. And he still has a feeling.
And we're saying we can do it. We can
and on the other hand, you say
we can really do that.
I will feel it.
And we will do it together, actually.
Thank you so much. And of course, that definitely means this debate has to continue. We still have the many that really still think the way things have the same school of thought. And we have those who have the school of thought like you guys. And so that means we still have to keep talking. And we don't end it here. As it ends here right now in the studio, it definitely has to go on back at home where you are watching us from. Keep tweeting, keep talking. We're still going on with this conversation on our online platform at Debate411. The hashtag is Debate411 or Chagua for Who. And we definitely had a poll out there, and it definitely, let me just take a look at what people actually voted. We had posted a poll there which we had asked you, will the ban on Chagua save Rwanda's textile industry? And those who have said of course yes are 32%, and those who have said not at all are 68%. This is from the polls. I did not vote. It's what people voted.
After this discussion, it might shift.
It may shift after this discussion. It's still there. We still have like 20 hours to go. It's still out there. Let's see if it is going to shift, as they're saying. And of course, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It's always a pleasure having you and reading your comments. Let's see you again next week on Wednesday. We are only on air on Wednesdays from 9 p.m. right here on Royal TV. My name, as always, is Eugene Anangwe. For now, you have a choice, but in 3 years, I'm not sure about that. Goodbye for now.